It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne. Car Con Carne is a Q101 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne, and Car Con Carne is presented by Easy Automation. Easy-automation.net. Transform your living space with cutting-edge home automation. Experience seamless control over everything. I'm talking about climate, lighting, audio, video, security, more. Embrace the future of smart living. It's your home, your rules. Get a free quote. It's hassle-free, and you'll find out just how easy it is to go smart. Call my guy Dan, 630-730-3728, or visit easy-automation.net. Car Con Carne, also sponsored by a book. We are literate on Car Con Carne. Car Con Carne is sponsored by 90 Days in the 90s, a rock and roll time travel story. The ultimate novel about the 90s and Chicago's music scene, written by Andy Fry. Did you go to a lot of shows in the 90s?
I didn't move here until 2005, so...
Well, did you go to shows in the 90s before you moved?
I did in Michigan when I grew up.
Who were your bands back then?
In the 90s, I liked White Zombie a lot, and I saw the Deftones before they got really big.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like at a really small place in Grand Rapids.
So this book, join record store owner Darby as she goes back in time to the 90s in Chicago. She hops on the mystical Gray Line and ends up back in the 90s, soaking up all the pop culture and nostalgia you can imagine. Find out more. Get the book. Go to 90daysinthe90s.com or pick it up on Amazon.com, wherever you buy books. Finally, programming note, Car Con Carne will be live on stage recording this very podcast in South Elgin, bucolic South Elgin, at Legit Dogs and Ice, 322 South Randall Road. Live performances from Derision Cult, also Aaron Williams and Karen Shook. Comedy from Chris Bongat and craft brewer Carson Souza from Obscurity Brewing, all being interviewed on stage. You can be part of it. Again, Legit Dogs and Ice. How much would you pay? Probably a lot, but it's absolutely free. So, Car Con Carne is what we're doing here. My guest is, the band is a self-described gothy little rock band from Chicago. I have Jay from Comasoft next to me. Chris from Comasoft is also going to join us. Chris from Comasoft went to the wrong location.
He did. He did.
So he'll join us in progress. Is there anything I should save for him?
Just besides his incompetence, no, he'll be here in a minute, I guess, depending on how bad the traffic is.
Let's talk about Comasoft. There is an EP release party for the next EP, Gather at the End, April 25th. It is a Friday night, Cobra Lounge. Release date and performance. Your first show back as Comasoft, opening up for Stabbing Westward. I mean, if you're going to come back in a big way.
Yeah, that was it. That was really... we had gotten some offers, and I kept saying no, and then I got that, and I was like, well, let's
here
do
we
that.
go.
Yeah, let's do that.
So obviously it went well, because here we are talking about Comasoft months later.
Right. Yeah.
Not that the fans saw it, but were you rusty at all?
I felt like I was right at the very beginning, but then it all kind of came right back. So it felt really good. Yeah.
Were you nervous? Like, could you hear it in your voice? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. I think that our guitar player is also named Chris. Not the Chris that's going to be in here in a second, but
not the Chris who failed the assignment.
His last name is Campbell, so we call him Soup. So from now on, I'm going to refer to him as Soup.
Right.
But so Soup, his as soon as we started, the intro was going, and then he was just yelling, "My guitar's not working." I didn't have anything to say. I just yelled at him. I was like, "Figure it out," and then he did right when the song started. So it worked. But yeah, I mean, after that, it's like old hat. Yeah. I had my signature stomp box that you get up on. Once you get up on that thing, it's all downhill from there.
That's awesome. Now, before that show with Stabbing, was the last show in 2016?
Yeah, probably Subterranean. I think we used to play Sub T a lot, and Double Door. I think the last one we played might have been that Subterranean. So
let's take a step back. What led to you pumping the brakes in the first place?
So I mean, I think the band really got started about 2008 or so, with the original four members, and once we were trying to figure out what we were doing. The music was pretty kind of dark and gothy and stuff. Mm-hmm. But around that time, there was a lot of bands, just doing just a little bit more pop. I mean, I tend to like emo and pop punk. I like that stuff, but I wasn't really writing it. And then we experimented around with a couple of songs, and then Chris Payne from Local 101 started playing one of our tracks, and things kind of took off. So we spent a lot of years like just playing and having a great time, driving all over the place. We had a big, huge church van.
Did you really? That's awesome.
Yeah. We bought it from a church, and the guy, when we went to pick it up, the guy was like, "You want me to take off the decals because it said
Fuck no.
it said it said Saint John the Evangelist on there."
No,
We're
yeah.
like, "Leave it on. That's like great, theft protection because no one wants to steal from Jesus."
Right. No one wants to steal from Jesus, and also, what a great goth move.
Yeah. And then we like spray painted the windows all silver so you couldn't see in. So and looked the way we did. So we were just whenever we were in small towns getting gas, it was quite a
That's
sight.
amazing.
Mm-hmm. Just it was such a dichotomous look. But the years kind of ran its course a little bit, and everyone has different lives and stuff. So it just kind of we were like focusing on other things.
So
And-
it wasn't acrimony. It wasn't like you're at each other's throats.
No, not at all. So the original members, like me and the drummer Tomas, like we still play. The original bass player and the original guitar player are still like my good friends. The original guitar player Danny lives like 2 doors down from me. We hang out all the time. So it's like a family, sort of like a collective of writers and musicians. And we'll hear more about it when I talk about it later. But like how we came about recording these new songs, we have like a collective called Bloom that Chris, the guy who's late, runs, and that is just that too. I play drums in some of those bands. Some of those bands play in in our music. So we just have like whoever we need to write whatever we want to write, we bring them in, and that's how it happened.
The collective. It's like Justice League Unlimited, if you've ever watched the cartoon.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, one day you may get Supergirl and Booster Gold. The next day you might get Zatanna and Wonder Woman.
Exactly. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes we're recording, and then like someone will come in and like do some crazy screaming part, or you just never know what it's going to turn out to be. So that's why like we don't really like name like the project. We just like sort of name the song, and then later once it gets fleshed out, we'd be like, that sounds more like a Audio Dream song or more like a Comasoft song, or so. And then it goes from there.
So all right, let's take a step further back.
Okay.
You said you started in 2008 in earnest.
Yeah.
Okay. It is the 20th anniversary of your self-titled release.
Yeah, so that one I had done. So I moved. I'm from Michigan. I grew up and lived in Grand Rapids. I moved here to be like in bands. There wasn't enough musicians in Grand Rapids that I could find. So
Specifically, you came here for music.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And so right when I like the first people I met, like literally the first weekend I was here, I met a whole bunch of people that I'm still friends with. And that's how it happened. I started just like talking to people and playing drums because I'm a drummer originally, playing drums in some bands, and then getting some people to play with me, and that's how it started. So once we got like the actual 4 of us together, we were recording with our friend Abel Garibaldi, who has like done tons and tons of bands, and that just started to work, like that lineup, and that's what we kept that lineup for as long as we could.
So you came here for music. What was it about Chicago? Like, were there bands who you were admiring from afar?
Yeah, so when I was in Grand Rapids, I was playing with a couple of my good buddies, and they liked some electronic, like dark electronic bands. One of them was called A New January, and so I drove all the way up here one time before I moved here just to see them, and they were great. And when they got done playing, the singer Andre was just like, I was like, hey, and he's like, hi, and we just made friends. Like there was no rock stardom about any of it. So yeah, like that I was like, I need to be in that scene. I mean, we hung out at Neo a lot, that was the goth club, and so you can meet a lot of people that were into the same kind of music and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's how it happened. And then like when I first moved here, when I was looking for a job, I worked at Guitar Center for a few months, and I worked with Mateo and Dan Torelli. That they were in a band called Blank Theory, and then they turned into Medina Lake with the Twins. So we all made friends and like hang out all the time, and started playing music. So then when Medina Lake were taking off, we get to play with them all the time, and it just worked out nicely.
That is fantastic. All right, so Cobra Lounge on Friday the 25th. I'm assuming this is an EP release party. Comasoft is back. Is this a full-time thing for you now?
Yeah, I feel like we want to try to play as much as we can, as much as our lives will allow. But yeah, we want to try to get out there, play some different cities, as much as we can. But I feel really good about it. I really like the songs, and they're a real good like collective of all of our talents and everybody's input. So yeah.
So okay, it's 5 songs. Where was your head at writing these songs? Had you been sitting on these for a while, or are these new constructs?
A little bit of both. So like the track Restless Life, that's probably the oldest one in there. I actually wrote that a long time ago, and it kind of like sat around for a little while, and then my buddy Dan, who's out in LA, he was like, let me have that track. And I gave it to him, and then him and I went back and forth. He would like rewrite a bunch of stuff, but was keeping my vocal track. And it came back like way different than what my original track was, and we're like, man, we have to use this. So we've been waiting to get that one out, and now I'm excited about the way it sounds. It's a real banger. And then there's one other one, the last track called "Trapped in a Vial." That was actually written for the last EP, the Finis record from 2023. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't super happy with my vocal performance, and so I was like, it just didn't make the cut. And then when I told Chris that I wanted to kind of bring it back, he was like, "Oh, let me open it." And once he opened it, like his skill level has grown in the last couple of years, and so I think he spent like an entire weekend just redoing a bunch of stuff and fixing it and getting it to the point where we were super happy with it. I think I re-sang a bunch of the parts. And
you feel better about your voice.
I feel better about it now. Yeah, I feel better about it. So I feel like there's we call them like J-isms. It's really funny. Like they call me, like they make fun of me and call me JFI or like JV Havoc because they think that I sound like him a lot. And
JFI.
I know JFI. And so Chris will kind of push me to try things I haven't done before or whatever, and that was one of the songs. Like there's the end, like the trail, like the out chorus has like a super ad lib over top, and it's just something I would never have done before, and so it just took a little bit of time before I got really comfortable with it.
You said you weren't happy with your voice on the track a couple years ago. Has your voice changed through the years? I
think I've gotten slightly better. I got like the vocal training thing that Matt Devine from Kilhanna gave me, and I do that a lot. And I've shared that with some other singers too. It's just like it was a DVD. I'm sure it's online now, but so yeah, I think so. I mean, my regular register seems to I tend to try to be kind of low, but I can like pitch up pretty high if I want to, and I think that's really what changed the music when we were like kind of straight gothy and dark. That not a lot of goth music has really high vocal. That's more like pop and emo and punk and everything. But it felt really good to do that. So now there's really just no rules. We just kind of make whatever we want, and there's a lot of layers in there. So I still get to sing really low. I still do octaves, and I still sing super high sometimes. So
when you started, the world of the business of music was very different. From what it is now. And I think you just said something in making your own rules. Like, this can be whatever you want it to be at this point.
Right. Yeah, there's no real, like, age limit on goth music, so you can kind of do whatever you want. And it's a really big like resurgence of it right now. There's like some of these bands that are just like a couple guys in a drum machine, and they're playing huge rooms. So it just wasn't like that, some years ago. But if you were playing faster and a little more hooky choruses, then you could be in big rooms. And I feel like I liked all that music anyway, so I was moving kind of fluidly through that. And maybe I had to apologize for being that way to some extent, but now I'm at a point where I'm just like, it doesn't really matter. If this hook is good and the music feels really nice, then I'm cool. And everybody else who's in the band and is making music is like, yeah, as long as it feels good to everybody, that it doesn't really matter if it fits exactly in.
So I realize you're all later in life. You took the time off, and now you're back at it. Is everyone aligned? Like, I mean, you're all in. Are you all somehow synced up on this?
Yeah, I mean, I've always told everybody, like I spoke about before, like the other two members, Chris and Danny. There's like been a lot of Chris's in the band.
Well, there's Soup.
Yeah, there's Soup, and there's
Chris.
Chris Lee, who's coming, and then the original bass player, his name is Chris Polinsky. We call him Crispy because
I would too.
Crispy. And
it's a given.
Yeah, I always make names for everybody. So that was something I had said from the very beginning. Like, I don't want this to be like a laborious to you. If this is fun and you're having a good time and you feel like you're being heard, I don't want to be a dictator. I grew up being a drummer, and I was a drummer in tons of metal bands where like my only job was just to show up and make a bunch of noise. And I that's why I decided to stop being a drummer and be a singer for a while. I just was like, let me create a different atmosphere. And that's the atmosphere I wanted to create, was just, everybody's here to like put their 2 cents in, and we'll see what happens.
What's the definitive metal album?
My favorite? Oh man, there's let's see. I love October Rust from Typo Negative. That's like 74 minutes of just beauty.
74 minutes. Not to put too fine a point on it, but
Yeah, it's just this super long, really beautiful record. I love that. I mean, of course, I like some classic stuff, I guess. But I listen to a lot. I love black metal, which like nobody likes. Even my metal friends don't like. But there's some great stuff. There's like this band that I listen to. They're called Falice, which is a town in France, and it's like shoegazer music, which is beautiful, but at like 200 beats per minute. So, and you can barely hear the singer. So it's just more about like beautiful piano and beautiful like dissident guitar. It doesn't sound like when you say black metal, people think the dudes with the spikes and,
Yes.
and the makeup. This is not. These guys look like hipsters, like they like. But and it sounds like shoegazer music, but it's just really fast. Yeah.
you sold me on it. That was well
Yeah,
described.
It's really good. You should check it out. I'll give you a bunch of links later.
Excellent. All right, so Comasoft is back. The new EP hits at the same time or on the same day as the release show at Cobra Lounge, which is a great place to roll this stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
You can make a lot of noise in that room.
Yeah, I love it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What's Chris's punishment for missing this?
He has to buy the tacos, I guess.
We're parked at Taco
We're
Bell.
parked at Taco Bell.
Sometimes food is a challenge here for Car Con Carne, so I said, well, let's go to Taco Bell, and if we're feeling it, we'll go in. I wasn't really feeling it.
No, I mean, I was going to say, like, this would be, like, probably the 5th or 6th time in my life
Shut up.
that I've ever had Taco Bell.
He pulled up on a scooter.
The scooter almost crashed.
Go behind Jay.
Yeah, I don't really eat Taco Bell. Like, I've only had it, like, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life, so I was cautiously optimistic about how it would go.
Hey, fellas.
Hey, buddy.
Chris, we were going to be upset with you until you came speeding toward the car on a scooter in like this show-stopping moment. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
We're done.
Moving on.
And moving on.
So I'll just ask you in summary. It is nice to meet you, and I get it. I mean, there are a million Taco Bells in the city. How does it feel to be kind of back in full gear? You've got the EP release show. You've got the EP. How does it feel to be in full Comasoft mode again?
It's good. It's fun. It's like, I think that this is some of the best work we've done so far, so I'm excited for other people to hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in summary?
In summary, yeah, I'm hoping that we already have some stuff in the works for a follow-up. Some friends of ours are doing remixes of some of the songs that are on the release.
Do I know who's doing those remixes?
You might. The band Cut Rate Box is doing one. Stephen Olaf is doing one. Our buddy Danny Lucero, he goes by Santo Gato. He's kind of like an electro dude. He was doing one. He was over the other night playing
Is
it
that
for us.
translated as Saint Cat?
I think it's yeah.
Okay.
It's his cat. It's his name. The name of his cat. He named his band after his cat. So, and we're gonna do a few more. Jim Marcus wants to do one, so I gave him all the tracks, and I was like, pick whichever one you want. But I thought that would be pretty fun. And then,
Yeah, that's great.
Chris and I are working on maybe a couple new ones, and so maybe like in a couple months after this EP comes out, we'll put out like a part 2 with a bunch of remixes and then another new track on top or something.
I love it. Oh, I should ask about Let's Go All the Way.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was a fun one out of nowhere.
Oh, thanks. Yes, we'd always tried to do one cover in our set. We used to play "Scared of Girls" from Placebo, and let's see, "Love Song" from The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure who was the first person that brought that one up, but I mean, I love that song, and it's a ridiculous track. Like the lyrics are super ridiculous.
Agreed.
Yeah, they don't make any sense. And then once we got into the studio, it just kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and we're like, this is probably where it should be.
You made it yours.
We made it our own, yeah. And so we resurrected
It's not
it.
goth adjacent like a Placebo or a Cure. Like that was a cool move.
Right on. Thanks. Yeah, I told him about. Hey, Chris, I told him about you call me JFI sometimes. So
Yeah, because he kind of has like some Davey Havocness.
some JV Havoc.
JV Havoc. There was one time I was just writing some random songs. I hadn't listened to Black Sails in a long time. And so I was like, I want to write a song like this, And I'm like, who do I know that sounds kind of like Davey? And I'm like, Jade kind of sounds like that. Just come over now. And then we ended up writing that Blood in the Water song.
Yeah. So
awesome.
we'll be playing that one. So what I was saying before Chris got here, like our collective, Bloom, like it's just run by him, but essentially it's just a collective of a bunch of musicians that we know that are all in different bands, and just meet up at his place and whatever's on the menu. Whoever needs to be doing whatever part kind of jumps in. So,
Yeah, I'm doing Car Con Carne wrong. So we're sitting here at this Taco Bell parking lot in Milwaukee and Belmont. I'm looking at a car, tailgates open, and there are dudes just tailgating.
Just outside the
these
Taco
guys
Bell.
these guys are construction dudes, and they're just drinking Coronas.
I mean, that makes sense, though.
Like, we should be hanging outside the car drinking Corona. We should be tailgating right now.
Should we just move over there and do the interview with
Do
them?
the interview with them.
Yeah. Who wouldn't like a crisp, refreshing lager right now?
I know. The arcade's not far, so that'd be a place where.
I saw you had Herb on the show.
I've had Herb on a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love Herb.
Herb is a cult of personality.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a good dude. All right, Comasoft, thank you for doing this. Chris, I am glad you made it. We've all been late or been in the wrong place at the right time, and I know how stressful it is. So thank you for showing up.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure that was probably a little angsty for you.
Rushing down the rainy streets on a scooter.
Yeah, ugly traffic night too. All right, so Cobra on Friday the 25th. Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot for having us.